Welcome back, everybody, to the Bourbon, Buzzed, and Ballin podcast. We are your hosts, Kolby and Dut, and we are happy to be back here after a short little holiday season for us.
We skipped 1 week worth of taping.
That's right.
I hadn't even seen you since Christmas Eve. Did you have good holidays?
Yeah, it's been busy, man. Been busy. Bowl games and grandchild and
You over the morning?
No.
I'm sure we'll talk about that more when we get deeper into the show.
Yeah, let's save some of that for the topic of college football for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it was a good holiday season. I hope everybody had a good holiday.
Absolutely.
I know we did, and enjoyed family and a lot of good food and a lot of good drink.
And we did give out the $25 to one of our listeners. Her name was Danielle.
Thanks, Danielle, for liking and sharing our content.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that, and you guys continue to follow us for some more giveaways. We hope to amp up our giveaways as we go along and improve our following for sure.
Absolutely.
It's all about giving back.
That's right.
That's it.
All right, well, you want to dive right into this week's show?
Well, let's tell everybody what we do. I mean, at least I better remember to tell everybody we talk sports and we drink bourbon. And of course, at the end of our podcast, we're always going to rate some bourbon.
Right.
Colby's
And now
going to give you some background.
That's right. And we actually split the episode into two parts.
That's it.
The sports talks that we do over here at the poker table. We'll drop that
I'm already a little rusty on how we do things around here, but whatever.
We'll drop that on Wednesday, and then the part that we do at the bar where we do the rating of the bourbon, that'll be part 2, and we'll drop that on Friday. So
sweet.
So all right, let's
we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, because we got 2 weeks worth of stuff, so we need to try to keep it short so we
talk fast.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a fast talker, but I will talk fast as I can.
But since we last recorded, there 2 more legends have passed.
Yep.
Franco Harris of the Immaculate Reception, he passed, and of course he passed right when they were doing the special 50-year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
Horrible timing on that for him.
Yeah, well, it was terrible timing. And then the other Pele, passed, and we talked a little bit about him being in the GOAT conversation with Messi, and the soccer world lost a legend.
Actually, I think it's Messi and Maradona in the conversation with Pele.
Right.
But that's right. I'm not gonna nitpick you on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Pele was before your time following soccer.
Actually, I went and saw Pele.
I mean, you lived in New York, New York area.
Yeah,
so
I saw him play when he was a Cosmo.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a definite one up on most people.
Yeah, at the old Meadowlands, it would have been the early '70s when he was playing for the Cosmos after he had retired from the Brazilian team. Unfortunately, both of those guys passed. So.
You've seen a lot of goats. You've seen a lot of goats live, man. Really?
Yeah, in my lifetime.
Pele, I didn't know the Pele one. That certainly adds a little extra to your goat list.
Yeah. I might have to actually jot it down one day and just see who all I've seen and who I haven't seen. But most of the ones that were playing during my lifetime, I made it a point to get out and catch one of their games. So.
Yeah, Franco's passing was rather sudden and tragic, and it was touching. I don't know if you watched the Penn State game, the Penn State bowl game.
I did not.
They made tributes, obviously, and that was pretty cool. And it just really sucked that he. I mean, it sucks to die. I'm sure, quite sure at any point, but I mean, he dies the week that he's going to be enshrined. And Pittsburgh is not very generous.
No,
in terms of a Ring of Honor at all.
Right.
So, I mean, to be inducted in Pittsburgh's Ring of Honor, that's pretty illustrious company. So, but I did. It was fun to watch the presentation. It was touching. So, yeah, that was touching.
Yeah, and then me and you both had this next one with J.J. Watt announcing his retirement.
Yeah.
And when healthy.
Oh, man. From walk-on to Canton enshrinement.
I mean, he's first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, when healthy, you're right. He was
unstoppable. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. I think I read that there's only been 2 other players that have done that, and that's LT and Aaron Donald.
Yeah, that's pretty good company.
Oh, yeah. Those are the only 3 that have ever won. 3.
And off the field,
Oh yeah,
was quite generous and a lot of humanitarian work in Houston.
He won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. The year that they had the floodings, and he was so huge in that whole.
That's right. A lot of respect for J.J. Watt.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's going to be missed, and I think he's going out on his terms on top. I don't think he's done by any means as far as playing.
No, I think he could still contribute, and I think he's almost like a coach player.
I was just
on the field.
I was just about to say, because I've been watching. I talked about the Hard Knocks with the Detroit Lions. Well, now they're doing the in season, and it's with the Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
And so I have gotten to see the coaching side of J.J. Watts, which a lot of times you get these Hall of Fame players, and they don't want to go out of their way and
they're a little different type of person.
But he goes out of his way to coach up the younger players and give them pointers and techniques, and I can see him getting into coaching if he wants to, and he'd be a hell of a coach if he does decide to do that. Just from the little bit I see of his interactions on that show.
That's good, man. Yeah, great career.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I want to also toast. Our very own Bryce Young and Will Anderson. For both of those guys coming back and playing in our bowl game, I think it showed tremendous character, and it actually showed more of a loyalty to their teammates than it did anything. In the, Will Anderson, I think, said it best when he said, I've been telling these guys all year long, all off season, we got to do this, we got to do that, and he's been leading them as a captain. And he said, I just couldn't walk away knowing what I've been saying all the time, all along.
It's not just about talking the talk, you got to walk the walk. But you said the key word there, lead. That was leadership. It made me think Jackson Smith and Jigba, who opted out for the Ohio State, if he had not opted out after Harrison gets hurt,
they got another weapon.
They got another weapon, and maybe they don't lose that game to Georgia.
And I don't want to beat up anybody, because we've said it before on the show. You and I both agree that we totally support any player of that caliber that opts out because they're risking it all by playing.
Yes.
I was literally worried for both of them. Yeah. The whole game. I was like, please don't let anything happen.
I kept saying, okay, it's time to take Bryce out of the game. This game is in hand. Let's take him out and put in the backups. And I kept thinking, okay, after this possession, he's coming out. Oh, nope. After this possession, okay, nope. At the end of the third, just kept going and going. But it did. I thought it was a classy move what Saban did by putting him in for one play.
Sure.
And then subbing out for him so that he could get that standing ovation from all the Bama fans.
Yeah, no doubt. That was.
So they're going to be missed as well as the other guys that are turning pro.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss Bryce, man. I'm gonna miss Will too, obviously. But
right,
man. Bryce, this is something about a quarterback that you absolutely have 100% faith in when they take every snap, and almost. Very rarely do you ever second guess a decision he's made, and he's not got a big stature. Of course he's not got the biggest arm, but he makes the correct reads. He reads defenses pre and post snap almost correctly. So
his elusiveness.
Yeah, it's just gonna.
It's like he's got a sixth sense where he can just feel the pressure.
And we've had some really good ones. We've had some really good ones, but to me,
he's the best Alabama QB ever.
He's the best quarterback I've seen come through Alabama.
See, I started to see if you wanted to do a diss or respect for this first episode of 2023. But there was so much to talk about that I was like, well, maybe we'll do that next week.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
That was going to be one of my questions, diss or respect. Bryce Young, the best Alabama quarterback ever.
Man, easily the best Alabama quarterback ever. And if you go back and look, even this year, for example, we lacked that outside threat. We got a good receiving room. Don't get me wrong. I think we have a lot of talent, but it's a lot of young talent.
Right.
And he basically willed that team to, that record. What were we, 11-2 after the bowl?
Yes.
So we were 11-2, and in my opinion,
actually, may have been 12-2 after the bowl.
And Jalen Milroe obviously gets credit for one of them dubs,
Yeah.
But still, I mean, Bryce willed us to that record. Clearly, our best player on the field. No disrespect to Will.
And Bryce will have a chance to make history in the draft if they can go 1-2.
Yeah,
overall.
That'd be sweet. I'd like to see it.
All right.
That's it.
Is that all you got?
That's it for my toast, man.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I think there's many other. I mean, I would also like to throw out, a little bit of love to Martina Navratilova too.
I forgot about. I did see that. Yeah.
That was and bad news upon bad news. Yesterday.
You take away Serena, and Martina's probably the GOAT. In women's tennis. So.
That's right. So I hope speedy recovery. I hope you come through that one, Martina.
Yeah, hopefully. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Franco, Pele, JJ, Will, Bryce,
Martina,
Martina.
Here's to you.
Here's to you. Cheers.
I got to sip on that one a little bit slower. I've had a little bourbon over the holiday.
Yeah.
Not a lot of bourbon, but a little bourbon.
So what are you drinking?
I got Russell 10.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, I went with the Wild Turkey Rare Breed.
Rare Breed. That's a good one.
I hadn't had any of it since we rated it that night. And we liked it, so I was like, well, let me get a little bit more of that. So,
yeah, those are good ones. I'll be sipping on that one most of the night.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move from the good to the bad and talk about our scumbags of the week.
Let's do it.
So,
you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
I started the toast. You can start the scumbags.
Yeah, I'll start the scumbag. It's in your own backyard. I'm gonna go with Kayvon Thibodeau, man. Defensive end, New York Giants. He's my scumbag of the week.
What makes him a scumbag?
Well, he's sitting. He makes a great play, great sack, and he's gonna make a damn snow angel on the field while Nick Foles is convulsing beside him. He's hurt. He's hurt and convulsing.
Yeah.
And in this day, with the current conditions of the NFL, and there was poor taste. Now, I will say, he probably didn't see him convulsing.
Although he was hitting him with his hand he was doing the snow.
It was actually, I don't want to say comedy. I mean, but it was funny because his teammates looked like they were like trying to get him to stop. But he's making a snow angel right beside Nick Foles, as Nick Foles is obviously in distress from a head injury. I'm guessing.
No, it was ribs.
Ribs. All right. Yeah. Well, he looked like he was convulsing.
I actually thought when I saw the play live that Foles got the wind knocked out of him because Foles landed on the ball.
I got you.
And so I actually thought he was just trying to catch his breath. I thought he had the wind knocked out of him. And, Tibbs says he did know he was hurt. It's a good lesson for Tibbs. Hey, check the quarterback's pulse before you...
It was a bit of a stretch, scumbag. I'd like the dude. The dude's had a good rookie year. I just thought that was...
A bunch of the Colts players were ripping him.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure. And
I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, dude, get up. He's laying down. He's hurt. But... Because, like I said, I don't think he knew it.
The replay looked really bad.
Yeah.
The replay of it looks really bad. But anyway, that's my scumbag of the week.
All right, well, my scumbag of the week, and it was an on again, off again, on again scumbag for me. Because I started out with him as my scumbag, and then I changed my mind, and then I went back to him again. And that's Skip Bayless. Skip
Bayless.
Let me read the tweet so that I don't get it wrong. But
you better preface.
Well, yeah, let me preface. So during the Monday Night Football game, Damar Hamlin, and we'll talk more about it, after we get the scumbag out of the way. But he basically went into cardiac arrest, and so right after it happened, or I think it was probably while he was still laying on the field.
Yeah, it was still during the initial timeout.
So Skip tweets, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? this late in the season, game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, ... which suddenly seems so irrelevant. And so at first I was like, how can he put a football game above, a player's life? And as soon as this tweet went out, everybody across the NFL, all the players, were ripping him a new one. And then he came out and said, no, you misunderstood what I was trying to say, because he ends it with, basically saying that the outcome of the regular season is suddenly so irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But the way he worded the whole tweet and the timing, it's just not a good. You're a journalist. Don't put something out there that can be misconstrued.
Yeah, but he's a poor journalist.
He's a piece of shit. He's a shock jock.
Yeah,
and that's why when you create this persona, people are automatically gonna read it negatively.
Wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Because of the persona you've created.
Exactly.
And so
yeah, the perception, it's just wrong timing on his part. I read it 50 different times, trying to read it differently and how I would perceive it. And just to be honest with you, knowing and following Skip Bayless as much as I have, and I mean, I don't really care much for the dude anyway. So, just knowing him and some of his outrageous takes that he has anyway, he's just doing it. He just did it to be one of the first out there. Right. It was poor timing. It wasn't the right time.
Well, and the main thing that made me decide to keep him as my scumbag was Shannon Sharp, his partner on Undisputed, decided not to show up for work today. So he was so disgusted by Skip's tweet that he didn't even go to work.
Yeah, guilty by association.
And the network doesn't know, when or if he plans on returning to work. So that's why I went back to Skip as my scumbag.
I think it's a good scumbag. I kind of figured you were going to go that route.
Well, Skip's one of those guys that I can make him my scumbag every week.
I mean, like I said, he's got some very outlandish takes, man. And, And to put him up there, his partner's a Hall of Famer.
And I like Shannon.
Oh, I like Shannon a lot. And
I actually do wish Shannon would leave the show.
In these kind of situations, in these subject matter, like what happened last night in the game, I kind of always, I don't want to hear from journalists. Right. I want to hear from the players, ex-players.
And I know ESPN, they tried their best to handle it in the best way possible. But I was actually, while I was watching, a little disappointed in Susie Kolber when they cut to her in the studio. And I know she's trying to, come up with what to say in that moment, and that can't be easy. And, I've never liked Booger, but Booger handled it beautifully.
Yeah, Booger came off a lot better.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever enjoyed really listening to Booger, because he was on point.
Yeah, he was.
And I was a little disappointed in Susie.
Adam what is it? Silver?
No.
He was...
He was. I'm pulling a Dustin. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either. We should. At any rate, he was at a loss of words. Man, he didn't have much to offer. But
while we're talking about that situation, let's just go ahead and talk about.
I don't want to talk about it too much, because it's on.
It was on everything
today.
On
all day.
It was on everything except Undisputed.
Undisputed, yeah, exactly.
But it's just one of those. Supposedly, it's just one of those freak accidents where the timing caught the heartbeat at the right split second, and it brought tears to my eyes. I was crying.
Yeah, well, it was scary. It was the scariest thing I've seen. I guess I didn't live through really the Darryl Stingley.
Right.
And I don't even know if
Stingley was paralyzed.
Was that a Monday night game?
I think it was a Monday night. Now, there was one player that I was reading about that has died on the field from a heart attack, but it was a long time ago.
So anyway, last night it was it was hard to watch, especially when you initially when he laid there and collapsed and laid down, I was telling my significant other, this is bad, because you could tell by the players' reactions.
The players' reactions was really
that there's something really bad,
and the fact that the ambulance was out there on the field.
Yeah,
usually the ambulance doesn't go on the field.
Right, exactly.
And the ambulance was on the field, and like you said, the players' reactions, you knew.
I kind of thought maybe the helmet hit him in the throat, and maybe his throat had swollen and he was not getting oxygen.
Right.
I was coming up with all these scenarios, certainly not the one that actually happened,
Right.
And of course, watching it unfold before you, you couldn't really see the CPR. And
right, because all the players were surrounding them.
You couldn't see what was going on,
Yeah.
but clearly you could tell by the players' reactions that it wasn't a broken bone. It was really bad. So,
yeah, because he made the tackle, he made the play, he stood up, and then collapsed.
Right.
And, it was a scary sight, and then you start having all these thoughts of back when we played football, when our kids played football, and it's...
Yeah, it's
life is precious.
It's a violent game, and even at the levels that, you played at a higher level than I did, but, even at the high school level, I can remember a lot of contact that was violent.
Yeah.
I can't imagine at the NFL level where the speed and the size are so much different.
Right.
So the collisions are just incredibly violent. So
anyway, Damar, we're praying for you. Hope you get better. Last I heard, he was in a induced coma, which is what kind of the protocol for this is, and so hopefully. Yeah, hopefully he'll come.
Who knows what his future holds?
Exactly.
I know from a philanthropist standpoint, he's off to a great start.
Yeah.
For as young as he is, he's done a lot of good work in the community. So
yeah, I saw his toy drive or whatever had collected like $4 million.
Yeah. Well, last I saw it was like 3 point.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing feat by everybody watching, contributing to it. So. Yeah. Maybe that'll give him some positive vibes and help him on his recovery.
Right. Yep. All right. Well, while we're talking about the NFL, playoffs are almost set.
Yeah.
You got the NFC. It's pretty much down to the last spot, and the Packers control their destiny, which is kind of ironic where they've come from. You got the Packers, Seahawks, and Lions are the three teams that are still alive. The Packers and Lions play each other Sunday night.
Winning, they're in.
Yeah. Because of the tiebreakers, that's why even though the Packers and Seahawks have never played each other, they would hold the tiebreaker over the Seahawks. Now the Seahawks win and the Lions win, then the Seahawks are in. So really the Lions...
How do the Lions get?
The Lions need to win and the Seahawks lose. So the Lions need to beat the Packers and have the Seahawks lose.
I'm actually pulling for the Lions, man.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for the Lions. I don't think the Packers are dangerous even in the playoffs.
No.
I don't see. I mean, they've been pretty sneaky to get back up to 8-8.
Well, I mean, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback. You got some talent, decent defense.
Receivers, young receivers that are coming on.
I do like that the Packers and Lions have to play each other.
Yes.
Throw it out there. And the Seahawks have to play the Rams. And actually, that game's at 4 o'clock, the Seahawks and Rams.
Okay.
So the Lions and Packers will know whether the Seahawks won or lost. So if the Seahawks lose, that might give the Lions a little extra incentive to play a little harder, because then that would be a winner-take-all game.
There you go.
If the Seahawks lose against the Rams.
The NFC, man, the NFC is schizophrenic. I don't even know who to really put up front right now. I think the Eagles, but then they flop.
Yeah. Well, but they've also been without Jalen.
I know.
So I don't know if I would say they flop. I think they kind of had a cushion and used that cushion to get their quarterback healthy. Our boys are probably going to meet up in the first round of playoffs.
Possibly, yeah.
The way it stands right now, the Giants are locked in at number 6. They can't move up, they can't move down.
Oh,
They're
okay.
locked in at number 6.
I knew they had already secured a playoff spot, but I wasn't sure.
They're locked in at 6, and then
the Vikings
are 3 right now. I think if they were to win and who's number 2?
San Fran.
San Fran loses, then I think those two could flip-flop.
I think we finished with the Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Vikings finished with the Bears. So
that should be a win.
Should be a W, but the Vikings are just, I mean, who knows what Minnesota team can show up for sure.
Yeah. Then in the AFC, the Patriots control their own, which is, who thought the Patriots were going to make the playoffs? I mean, in our preseason, we thought the Patriots and Jets were going to be battling out for last place, which they kind of are.
Really, yeah, we're not really off by much,
right.
And most everybody's been off considerably in their
South,
preseason
especially.
Predictions in the AFC for sure.
Yeah, well, and who would have thought
the Jags
were going to do what they're going to do, and the
Broncos.
The Dolphins were 8-3 at one point. They've lost 5 straight, and of course Tua having concussion issues. So they're already saying he's more than likely not even in consideration for this weekend's game.
No, I don't think so. That's kind of why I wore my Tua jersey tonight, just in respect for Tua and hope for his speedy recovery.
Right. Yeah. The Dolphins play the Jets, but they need the Patriots to lose for them to be a win and in.
That's a 2-horse race in the AFC, man.
And then
it's a 2-horse race.
Well, I'm gonna say 3-horse.
All right.
Because I think the Bengals, Bills, and Chiefs.
Yeah, the Bengals are solid for sure. Yeah. They are solid.
I mean, the Bengals, they still, unfortunately the game got postponed last night, but they were still playing for the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed ain't decided yet.
Yeah, the Bengals have snuck up for sure. They're consistently good.
So, yeah, I definitely think the AFC's a 3-team race. But, you mentioned the Jags.
They're playing good, man. They're playing good.
What does that say about Urban Meyer?
Well, I'll tell you what it says about Urban Meyer. He sucks, and he doesn't deserve a coaching job. There's not a job in this country I would give to Urban Meyer.
Right.
But that's beside the point. Yeah, no, I like the Jags, man. I am happy for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, to me, he's had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and
them and the Titans are still, it's still up for grabs.
I'm off the Titans, man. I'm off the Titans without
lost Tannehill.
Yeah, without Tannehill. I almost called him Hasselback.
Yeah, then they go and Adam Schefter, by the way.
Adam Schefter. I knew it was Adam S. I want to say Silver, but that's the commissioner of the NBA.
See, when you said the Silver, that just totally threw me, and then I got that mental block. But I knew it would pop in.
He's a Michigan man.
He is.
He's a Michigan man. I should remember that.
I knew it would pop back into my head at one point. But what was I saying? The Jags and Titans. Yeah, they got Malik Willis, and then they go and sign Josh Dobbs off of somebody else's practice squad.
I know.
And then they throw him right into the starting lineup.
And he's been named the starter this coming week.
So I mean, that's a train wreck. So yeah,
that's odd for Vrabel too. He's a player's coach.
Yeah.
That seems counterproductive to Malik Willis's
psyche.
Thank you. His mentality, because he's young, he's fragile, and his confidence shook like that by taking Dobbs from the street.
Right.
I just don't know about that.
Yeah, that one shocked me. Anything else you want to mention on the NFL? That was about
college has been so good.
Yeah.
So much to talk about. I just kind of wanted to briefly I'm glad you stepped into the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, just
a little bit.
Just a little bit about what was going on with Damar Hamlin, and then what the playoffs pictures are looking like.
This has been the best bowl season ever in my opinion. I've been just in love with these games.
The tail end of the bowl season,
the middle to the tail. Yeah. I don't care about the December 19th through the 23rd.
There's too many bowl games.
There is.
And you turn on these early ones the first week of bowl season, and there's more people on the sidelines than there is in the stands.
Yeah, that's another topic for tonight. Really was the attendance the attendance. I went down through the bowl games, and the attendance at the bowl games is just abysmal.
Who wants to go watch a 6-6 team play another 6-6 team unless
unless
you went to that school?
And just like the fan bases from the Big Ten, they're like, well, you guys in the Southeast won't come up and play us in the wintertime. Well, ain't nobody want to go to a bowl game in the winter in the snow.
Right.
And who wants to go to Boise for a bowl game?
Right.
Nobody wants to go play in that or be a fan in that. And it's obvious these bowls. It's obvious that only the fan bases that travel are worth are worth asking to the bowl. So for some fan bases, they get mad why some SEC schools or Big Ten schools get to some of these bigger, better bowl games
because they need to make the money.
You got to make the money, and you got to have fan bases that travel.
Yep.
Fan bases that, if your team really isn't that into it in the overall picture, they're still going to travel to watch their team play.
Right.
And if you look at the attendance throughout the entire country, it's just it's terrible.
How about that green wave?
That's a crazy W, man.
I was happy for them.
I know.
That's
insane.
a big win for that program.
Would you have ever thought? I mean, I would have never thought Tulane could win over a blue
over a team that up until the very end
had a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 16 points in the last 4 minutes.
Insane. That was at the top of my list, man. The Cotton Bowl, the Gator Bowl was awesome. The Sun Bowl was awesome. I mean, Notre Dame over SC, that was a great game.
Yep.
That game went back and forth. SC was in control. Pitt over UCLA at the end. I mean, we can go on and on. FSU is back.
Yeah.
I think FSU is back.
Look out for them in the ACC next year.
Yeah, absolutely. They got something to say. Oregon over UNC, and then Arkansas over Kansas. Those were all good games.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the playoffs. The playoffs were good.
It wasn't very good for the Big Ten.
No, I mean, if you think about it, to me, Ohio had no reason even being. To me, they backed in.
Yeah.
They were fortunate to get in. But then they also proved that any given Saturday,
right? I mean, they were hanging.
Anybody can hang, and I've seen a lot of people talk that those were clearly the two best teams in the country. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Who were the Ohio State and
Georgia. Just because they had a great game.
Yeah.
But anybody.
But it really, Georgia. Where was Georgia's vaunted defense?
Well, I mean, like I said, any Saturday, it's just the ebb and the flow of the game. Right. It only takes an improper game plan for a half of football for you to go in and make adjustments.
Right.
It only takes. I'm going to say, a couple of hours in the week for you to come up with the start of your game plan for it to be wrong. And then you keep running with that game plan. And then first half of the game, you find out it's wrong.
Right.
You can see where it's easy for a team to come in that shouldn't have been able to win that game, had a chance to win it.
Right. And,
and then Michigan with their mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean.
What'd you think about the targeting?
At the Michigan game?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was targeting by the letter of the law, but I'm glad they didn't call it.
Right.
Because at that point, I felt like TCU had earned the W.
Okay.
And I didn't want Michigan. I mean, I did want Michigan to get another shot at getting the touchdown. But at the same time, I was kind of okay. Now, I wasn't okay with the overturned touchdown.
See,
because he did juggle it a bit.
Yeah.
And to me, that changes possession a touch.
Yeah.
And they called it a catch and a touchdown.
On the field.
And how did they take 15 seconds to overturn that?
Right.
Now, granted, they were probably like, well, technically, he's down at the half yard line. They're probably going to score. They're not going to fumble. But I was worried from the get-go that we were going to make a mistake, and the play call was just atrocious.
Right. You know who the officiating crew was in that game?
Yeah, it's the crew that officiated the Bama-Tennessee game. Yeah, exactly. The freaking flag-happy jackass. Yeah. At any rate, the officiating overall sucked because, I mean, I don't see how you take 15 seconds to overturn what was called, I thought, properly on the field, but even if it's improper, even if it was to be overturned, that call should have taken longer than 15 seconds. How
Well,
did they go in there and just boom? Yeah, that was clearly down on the half-yard line.
But there again, how does Michigan not score from the half-yard line?
Because Harbaugh hands it off to a converted linebacker. Come on, man. Why do that?
Yeah.
I don't understand the play call.
Sometimes these coaches like to get a little too cute. Speaking of Harbaugh, I hear Carolina Panthers and Harbaugh might be.
Nah, I think that's smoke and mirrors, man. Harbaugh's too weird for the NFL. He don't get along with anybody.
He's got like over 700 winning percentage in the
NFL.
NFL.
No, he's a great coach, no doubt. He's a great coach. He's been there, done that. You know, he's a good coach because he's been in the NFL. I think that makes a big difference, but he's just weird. I don't think he'll get along with, and he'll want control. And Tepper's not going to allow him to have GM responsibility.
Yeah.
So I think that's smoke and mirrors. What else? You want to talk more about the college playoffs? I mean,
we're about 40 minutes in, so
let's talk quickly about the championship game. What you think?
Okay. Well, I don't know that TCU can beat Georgia, but I didn't think TCU could beat Michigan, and so I mean I do like the grit that TCU plays with. I like Mad Max at quarterback. You know, their defense was opportunistic against Michigan. If they play like they played, if they play that same type of game they played Michigan, I think they got a shot.
You know who played the best in the TCU defense? The coordinator. He made absolutely the best calls at the right. It almost looked like he knew Michigan's play sheet.
Right.
It looked like he knew it. I mean, so I'm going to give full credit to I don't even know what his name is, the TCU DC. Saban, I think, ought to go after the dude. He was impressive to me, but...
Well, I'm hearing Jeremy Pruitt's name.
I'm sure.
To replace the DB coach. You know, there hadn't been any word on Bill O'Brien leaving or Pete Golding, but there was some talk that Jeremy Pruitt might come in and replace. I can't remember his name now, but the Charles Kelly,
our number one recruiter.
Yeah, well, of course Pruitt can recruit.
Oh yeah, Pruitt's a good recruiter.
That'd be a good.
But he's a little sketchy human.
Yeah. Well, but now in the day of NIL, you don't have to have a McDonald's bag full of cash.
He might be another scumbag. Anyway, back on to UGA TCU.
Right.
I definitely think TCU's O-line, they were massive, man. They covered up players. They were impressive to me. I just think obviously I think the game's going to be won with TCU's O-line versus Georgia's D-line. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Well, none of the four teams in the playoffs stood out as just being head and shoulders better than any of the others.
Georgia's not 100% the most dominant.
Right, and they might not have that second big tight end, Washington.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone for the game. I'm pretty sure he's done.
He's got an ankle sprain, and he was in a walking boot. But that's a big loss for them.
TCU's got to have their tailback. He's got to be healthy. That Kendre Miller, whatever his name is, he's got to be healthy. But I definitely see that game as a shootout.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like a homer, but to me, the team that looked the best on New Year's Eve was Alabama.
Well, they look good. I don't want to say they look the best. I mean, they played K-State, but
that K-State that beat TCU
any given Saturday.
I agree.
I get it. No, I definitely thought Bama looked. I mean, after a sluggish start, mind you.
Yeah, which is typical Alabama.
Yeah, especially playing at breakfast time.
Exactly. Which they're 26-0.
Horrible time slot.
That's what somebody was telling me. Oh, Alabama's 26-0 when they play before 11:30 Central Time. I said because it's usually that's what I said because it's usually the cupcake games that don't get on TV.
I heard somebody say that too, and I dismissed it because of that.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with the level of competition. I mean, it has everything to do with the level of competition.
Because if you go back and break down our games against FBS schools, how many first half 10-point games are there on that list? A lot.
Yeah.
No, I was definitely pleased with the dominance. Our defense looked really good, man. Really good.
Yeah, I think those people that were announcing the fall of Alabama, and then with the signing class that Nick just brought in.
I'm glad you brought that up, man. I'm so looking forward to Caleb Downs and Tony Mitchell and Keon Keeley. I watched all the videos of all of our recruits over the weekend, and man, that Downs and I think Caleb Downs and Keon Keeley.
Caleb Downs is probably going to. I mean, we're losing. You got 3 of your starting DBs. 4 starting DB if you want to count, like a nickel package, because you got Ricks, Branch, Battle, and Helms. They're all gone. So there's going to be some open positions next year. I could see Caleb Downs coming in here and starting.
Tony Mitchell. Caleb Downs for sure. And Keon Keeley, man, 6'6", 240.
I don't usually get excited about offensive linemen, but Proctor, I think he comes in. I think he's our starting right tackle next year.
I don't doubt it. I think
Latham goes to left tackle and Proctor's at right tackle. Yeah, it's a loaded class, and it was like they got like the top player at each position group almost.
Yeah.
Not at quarterback, but I mean the 2 studs coming in at running back.
That's what I look at. I don't look at overall star factor. I mean, I'm looking at what did we replace with what, and when you start talking about top player at each position in the class, that's when you start making impacts.
And I hope we don't lose that kicker that's signed. Because,
I hope not.
Because of Reichard coming in.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, he actually has 3 stars.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for a kicker.
And Cormani McLean, now that Ricks is turning pro,
declared,
there's an open position. He might decide.
When's has he said when he was gonna?
I haven't
rechecked on that.
I think in February.
Okay.
I think he was waiting until the second signing period. So.
Sweet, man. I mean, I think we could talk a lot more. I mean, I could talk a lot more about. I mean, I didn't even get to talk about Steve Wilkes and the Panthers' job. We'll talk about that next week.
Right. I mean, you got Alex Ovechkin is up to 806 now.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell dropped 71.
Oh yeah. The Hornets passed on Donovan Mitchell.
and the classic thing, after he scored 71, and the first thing he wanted to do was send his wishes to Damar. So he wasn't even about what he did. He said him and the whole Cleveland organization. So it was real classy what he did. Carlos Correa. He signed that big contract with the Giants. They failed him on the physical. He turns around and signs with the Mets like 20 minutes later.
Well, they're having troubles with his physical now too.
Well, I heard they said they didn't care.
Well, they're going to have to not care.
Exactly.
They're going to have to not care, but they didn't do their due diligence on that ankle.
And, last episode I said, stop me if you've heard this before. Well, I got another one for you. Stop me if you heard this before Zion Williamson got hurt.
He had a nice dunk, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's been a beast.
Oh, he's definitely a beast.
That cat just cannot.
Your best ability.
Yep. And I'm wondering, is Tua's fate going to be?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up.
Can't stay healthy.
I think, as a Bama fan, we love Tua. But honestly, I'm worried about his health going forward and his longevity.
And he's now got a wife and a young kid.
And I think I could definitely see him coaching. I could definitely see Tua maybe moving into coaching. So I'm kind of hoping. I don't know. I know he's not ready to give it up, but I mean the amount of concussions.
In such a short time.
Yeah, I think it's time to consider maybe your long-term health over your NFL career.
Right.
Because he's definitely got a career either in coaching or a career in, public speaking, just telling his story. He's just such a good guy. So,
right. Yep.
Prayers for Tua for sure.
Yep. All right. Well, let's
wrap it up.
Let's wrap this up and go over to the bar. I got a Bib and Tucker over there waiting for us.
Bib and Tucker.
So we'll taste that and then we will rate that shit. See y'all at the bar. Cheers.